Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.live.
difficulties.
And good evening, everyone. We're back. It's Beast from the East. We were covered from Thanksgiving football, and we're back. Your team's still playing. Congratulations. Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. NETSN Brett Swinney. Alongside me tonight, you got Jeremy Diamond, the returning Darren Peoples, and also KO Kahlo until join us here in just a second. Fellas, how's it going? Are you in a food coma still?
I'm in a football and food coma. There was so much good football played over the week. I tell you, it was awesome.
Yeah. Good to have you back with us, Jaron. Jeremy, how was the travels? I know you ventured off. I know you had a rough start to it. Had a sick kiddo. Maybe a couple of them were sick. Did you avoid all the sickness?
I did. Somehow I managed to stay healthy, and yeah, we had a good trip. Hated to miss some Friday night games that I was watching, all of them tuning in, and even got in trouble for being up so late watching some of those games with 72 delays and all that. Yeah, it's good to be back. Had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Got to smoke a turkey. It turned out fantastic. That's always good when you're at your in-laws' house. You don't blow it for the dinner right, and you do well. So it was a good week. Yeah,
it was. There was a lot of good football games and some really interesting. I didn't know that the weather was coming like that, fellas. You know, I did the game at 1:00 and went home and then I start seeing all these delays. I'm like, man, this feels like a repeat of the week before. We got stuck in a pretty long delay, but I feel like ours was pretty minor comparison to the delay that ARP had to wait. I mean, how do you feel when you're winning by that big of a margin and you have to go sit and wait for 3 hours to kind of finish it off, even though you probably know you're going to win? So that was a tough one. I had some relatives at that game. They were kind of keep me up to date. They were just out in their cars, just hanging out. It was like they almost had enough time to play an entire football game between the time they stopped and the time that they resumed the game. So that was very interesting. But man, Jaron, how you feeling, man? Good talking to you. I know you've been tuned in over the last few weeks, kind of quietly trying to climb the leaderboard. I see you might have passed someone here in this group. Let's look at the standings for this week. Actually, we hadn't had many of these this year. We had a perfect 10 for Wesley Williams. So shout out to Wesley Williams. 10 out of 10.
That's Coach Williams. He's a offensive coach over at Tatum.
Okay.
So he watches his stuff, and so Coach Williams, congrats.
That's pretty impressive. We had several at 9. And then we had, I think 8 was the highest any of our guys got. We had Brandon had 8. Chad Grubbs had 8. Hey, Darren Peoples had 8. Jaron, your brother got you this week by 1, looks like.
Blind hog.
Okay. You probably picked against Carthage. That was probably your problem, huh?
No, I knew better than that.
Let's see who else. Oh, there's a Jeremy Diamond has 8 as well here. So several 8. I had 7. The one that probably bit me. Of course, I lost 3 of them. I picked with my heart, and again in the Carlisle game. I thought they might have a chance, and they played hard with them for a while. I thought in a great effort, our Hamilton team that was favored. So that one probably bit me a little bit. But we'll go through these here one by one. And man, what did you guys think overall of the games? Was there any completely shocking outcomes to you before we get through? I mean, there was a couple interesting ones.
I think most of them went kind of how folks thought. I know we're going to go through them. The Athens win to me was a big one. I mean, that was huge because, again, Sunnyvale's no stranger to this round, in the playoffs. And so that was a big one, kind of a surprise. And again, we'll talk about it, but and we talked a little bit before we went on air, but that not necessarily that Joaquin won. I mean, I did pick EF, but not necessarily that Joaquin won. But goodness gracious, that was crazy. And so, you talk about a team that's peaking at the right time on all cylinders and then some. Yeah,
they really looked impressive. We'll start with game 1 here. Mount Enterprise and Overton, a game I called 1 o'clock there in Henderson on Friday afternoon. And every time you Overton, they got their starting tailback back and linebacker. And it didn't seem to matter to Mr. Ash and the Enterprise Wildcats. They kind of did what they wanted. I mean, it just seems that same kind of thing every week that I've seen them over the past couple. Is they come in, they make a statement early, and you make a mistake, they jump on you, and then it's just like they cruise in. And KO, you had a great view of that down the sideline down there. I mean, it just seems like they're on cruise control. They just kind of get off to a good start, wait for you to make that mistake, or wait for you to turn the ball over, or not get first down, and they just continue to jump on you.
They put so much pressure on the other team, because when Mount Enterprise has the ball, they're probably going to score. So it puts so much pressure on the opposing offense to have to answer that. And you saw it Friday; it got out of hand quick. It happened quickly. Mount Enterprise scored first, then they scored again after a turnover on downs, then got an onside kick and scored. When you looked up before you could blink, it was 22-0. And it just happened so fast. But yeah, Kagan Ash and Joshua Bennett combined for 10 touchdowns on the ground. I think they threw 1 pass. It was the very first play of the game. Only pass that I think they
threw one to Kagan. He caught a pass. It was when Bennett scrambled off to his right and he threw a little pass that Ash caught. So,
but they don't have to throw it. That's the thing. They and a lot is said about Kagan and about Joshua Bennett, but you got to give it to those offensive linemen up front, because when you go back and look at it, there's holes that either one of us could run through. Now Kagan's a lot more athletic than any one of us, so he makes it look a lot better, but the holes are there. And so the offensive line is playing phenomenal. I think the defense is doing enough. I don't think they're I mean, I think they would admit it's not a championship style defense when you're giving up 46 points, but I think they do enough with the offense that they have that they're a formidable opponent. It's impressive to watch.
Well, a lot of these points too, Kyle, come, I want to say after it's already established, but after the game's kind of already in. Like last week's score, the Chilton score was not indicative of how the game was. It was 50-8 at one point. They kind of, coasted in. So I think, the score, you look at the score, and Overton kept fighting. I'll give it to them, but Mount Enterprise kind of had it and cruised. That their goal is not this week. Their goal is down the line. So they want to kind of cruise into the finish line if they can. And I think that was part of it. I'm impressed by you talk about the line. When you look at their offensive defensive line, there's not a whole lot of guys that are playing both ways full time. They've got guys for that size school. They've got guys that are playing. Now there's a couple of them that play both, but they rotate them in and out enough where it's not the same 5 offensive linemen and it's not the same like defensive line. There's some other guys that play, and so I think that helps them, especially at that level. I mean, to have the ability to fluctuate guys in and out and not have to rely on the same guys on both sides of the ball. Jeremy, you were tuned into this one. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. I was telling my father-in-law about it, and I was like, "Hey, like you got to watch this." And so we watched a little bit of it, and I mean, it was like I think the one where he kind of like it looked like the Red Sea parted, and he just went 51 untouched, and I was like, "Well, this one's going to be over quick." And he's just one of those guys that like I think the best thing about him too is like he benefits from every hole, if that makes sense. Like there are running backs that can get to the hole, but by the time they get there, it's closed. He's got the pace to go from 0 to full speed so quick that the hole is there and it's there and it's still there when he's gone. Like you watched a couple of them and it was like, I mean, he just went untouched and he was unbelievable. I don't know. It was just impressive to watch. And, again, Overton had a great season and they had some guys that can play, but it's just another level with Kagan Ash and what he can do. And then you watch him on the defense and you're like, oh, that's why he's going to play defense. Like he goes to the other side of the ball and makes critical plays when they need it. I think there was one that Holloman looked like he had room, and here comes Kagan Ash out of nowhere. I mean, just like a blur of speed and swipes his feet out from under him, And so I think he's just one of those guys that he's willing to do both sides of the ball, and not every star player wants to do that or is willing to do it. And so I think that says a lot about him. And again, Bennett had a great game too. I mean, I was impressed all the way around. And I mean, we've known they were a good team. I think they just reinforced that when you play somebody twice and you beat them handily the second time, that's tough. It's hard to beat somebody twice.
And Jeremy, you were with me the first time. They dialed up a lot of blitzes this game. They made Holloman run for his life a lot. I think that was a little bit different philosophy than last time. He had a lot of time and he was able to make plays, and I think that really forced Overton's hand a little bit. Now they were able to, obviously make some plays at some points, but they just really brought pressure, and I think it really bothered Overton. Jaron, you saw both teams play this year. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, well, getting pressure on Overton is saying something, right? They got some big guys up front and some guys that have been there a while, and I think they might have had some injuries throughout the season. But I want to give it to Rylan Holloman. He's had a really good year. When I saw them the first, I think it was week 3 or something, we did a game out there, and he wasn't quite sure of himself, but as the season progressed, he became a lot more sure of himself. And even when that game the other day, I was tuning in, and he had to overcome a lot of pressure and a lot, and still and never gave up. And that's something that Coach Lamance and those guys, the kind of the thing that they say is all in. You can tell that team gave it, until the last whistle, they were all in, right? So kudos to them, but. Mount Enterprise, it's just, and it's not, I mean, obviously Kagan Ash is a big part of it, but Bennett had a huge game. Also, having him as a threat there is a big deal as well. And so there's some other guys there that maybe get a little overshadowed a little bit because of Kagan Ash, but that team as a whole is playing really well.
Yeah, they really are.
Also, I don't think it was a very chippy game. They were chirping all game. It was chippy. These two teams, I don't think, will be exchanging Christmas cards this season. There is no love lost between them, but I mean, that's what you would expect. A team that's in the same district, you've played them twice, like that's who you have to get through to get to where you want to go. I mean, you expect that, but boy, it was chippy Friday.
You got a great I guess I wouldn't say view, a great ear shot of some of that thickness, KO.
You hear everything on the field. Let me just you hear it all.
Well, and I think doesn't it kind of this rivalry go back a long way? Like, I think I want to say I was researching a little bit, maybe like 20, 30 years ago. It was a pretty heated rivalry, I think.
So I think when doing my research for the game, I think they had played like 32 times or something like that, or 31. This was the 32nd meeting, and it was like 17-14 Overton was the research that I found. So, I mean, it's definitely one. They've never played in the playoffs before. This was the first time they've ever met in the playoffs. So, it was I'm sure it was a big deal for both schools. I mean, we kind of thought that this district might have all four teams with, Grapeland and Lovely having great seasons. They got knocked out the week before, but it'll be interesting moving forward to see kind of where, we know what Mount Enterprise stacks up around here, but going outside to some other schools that are great powerhouses, how they stack up, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Y'all mentioned the game. That's game 2. Athens over Sunnyvale, 37-36 in an absolute classic. Man, I'm sorry, Athens. I apologize. I had Sunnyvale. I missed this one. You guys, you were like, man, we want another shot at Carthage, and they're going to get it. Just impressed by this Athens team. Like, I feel like they're the cardiac kids of this playoffs. They've gone into overtime a couple times, and they win by 1 point. Their total win margin is probably not more than double digits, not much. I don't know what that total is, but it's not a whole lot, maybe 13, 14 points at the most. But Jaron, what about this one to you? What did you think about this outcome?
Man, kudos to Coach Harrell. And I'll tell you, the Carthage team, they've been eyeing, I was talking to my brother a few weeks ago. I said, just what are you hearing as far as just playoff, down the road? He said, I'm telling you, he goes, I think Athens is they're still going to be there, and it's going to be a game. And so, and it's proven right. I mean, again, that was a big win. Again, over a good Sunnyvale team that's usually, in this round pretty regularly, right? And so, kudos to them. Kudos to Coach Harrell. He's been building this thing for a while, right? He's been patiently building this thing for a while, and I think things are starting to hit on cylinders. They obviously have a really tall order this week, but they're riding some momentum. Uncle Mo's hanging out with them, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah, and Kyle Brandon kind of was there. He was sharing some things that was going on, and he said that game should have been more lopsided towards Athens early, and some things didn't go their way, but they're still able to come back and get that win. What's that say about Athens and what they've got going with Coach Harrell?
I mean, it's just a testament to the resiliency and the type of person that Coach Harrell is. I think your team becomes who your coach is, and Coach Harrell has always, when faced with adversity or anything like that, he'll battle through it, and he's just resilient. And I think his team shows that. And we talk a lot about the defense this year for Athens because they have given up a lot of points, but they show up when they need to. Like the way they won that game Friday was an interception at the end of the game to seal it. So they step up and make plays when they need to. We saw a pick 6, I believe it was, against Gilmer in the first round. So the defense can make plays. And when you match it up with this offense that has weapons all over the field, like I think this game Friday between Athens and Carthage is going to be a blast. The last time they played was a 5-point game. I expect nothing less than that Friday night. But yeah, I'm happy for Athens. I'm happy for Coach Harrell. It's only the second time ever that they've made it this far into the playoffs. So kudos to them, and I'm looking forward to Friday.
Jeremy, what do you think about this Athens win?
Yeah, I mean, so I went back and looked because I think I was trying to figure out, but yeah, their total win point, the point total or point differential in the playoffs is 15. They won game 1 by 8, game 2 by 6, and then this one by 1. I mean, I think that says a lot. That's a lot about character, right? Because those are easy ones to lose. It can easily go the other way, right? It's not blowout wins and big, but they're doing the things that are necessary. We watched them against Gilmer, and they played their tails off, and Gilmer gave them everything they had. I mean, Gilmer came in with nothing to lose, and Athens was able to stymie them at the right moments. And then, then they go into week 2 and get a 6-point win. And then, man, again, I apologize too. I had Sunnyvale in this one too, just looking at what they had been doing and how they dismantled Canton. And then they go and double up Van. I thought, man, this Sunnyvale team, and I think Athens just said, hey, hold on, don't forget about us. I think they've been itching to get this rematch with Carthage, and they said it was 5 last time. Why can't it be 5 the other way this time, right? I think they're a team poised to take a good shot at the King here, and I think they're playing with house money. Nobody expected them to get this far, so they've got nothing to lose but to go out and just play the game of their lives and see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because what you just said. I mean, if they lose this game, everyone's going to say Athens had a great season. You lost to Carthage, right? But if they were able to somehow come out and knock off Carthage, that would be maybe the story of the year in East Texas. I mean, I'd say so. Just one of those things, like they can go all in at the table with chips that really aren't theirs. They're just going all in with whatever they've got, and if they lose, I didn't have that money anyway. So I think it's going to be an interesting game next week. Game 3, no surprise here. Kilgore with a win, 34-0 over Bridge City. They move on, and I think this is one of those games that we all kind of thought that Kilgore was going to get the win. They're going to have an interesting matchup this week. I don't think they'll have trouble, but I think that as they keep moving, it'll be interesting that the different teams that they get, and we'll look at the bracket when we start looking at it. But it's going to be interesting. There's going to be some interesting matchups for Kilgore. Do I think they still can win every game? Absolutely. I still think they're the favorite. We might be a little biased here, KO, for the K. We think they're going to go take it.
I'm for sure biased. Respect the K. Me and Kilgore have had an interesting relationship this year, but things are blossoming between me and the Kilgore Bulldogs now. By the way, I noticed a post the other day on Facebook that said they had a few playoff shirts still available. I just want to put this out there. When, not if, when we make it back to Arlington, if somebody in that department would like to throw your boy a shirt, I would greatly appreciate it. So I can respect the K and support. But this Kilgore team, this defense, dude, we've talked about this defense all year, and they put another goose egg in the playoffs. They have now outscored their opponents in the postseason 137-14.
Hey, KO, third round blank.
Yeah, I mean, a district champion from another district.
Yeah.
Like, they are just obliterating folks. And I'm with you. I do think this week that it'll be a little closer, but this Kilgore team is absolutely rolling right now, and they're clicking on all cylinders, which is what you want to be doing this late in the season. So we've said it all year, especially after that week 1 loss to Carthage. They have been on a revenge tour to get back to AT&T Stadium, and they're inching closer and closer to it and becoming more and more dominant as they get there.
Jerry, what'd you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, that defense, and like you said, KO, we were kind of wondering about, or they've kind of been the side of the ball that we've really kind of been looking at the most, I think, all season. I remember us talking about, in our preseason show, wondering what that defense was going to be like. They lost some key guys, obviously, last year, but that defensive front, I think, is where it's all riding. That defensive front is nasty and mean, and they are definitely imposing their will on the line, and I think that's what's leading to those blanks that you're talking about, KO. So and Brett, but I think, and we'll talk about it, but I think they'll be fine this week. I think it's going to be probably a similar showing, and then we'll see if anyone tries to step in their way.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, yes, they're Kilgore. They're doing what they do. I'm not shocked at all that they won. I think it's super impressive. They throw up a goose egg because a lot of times what happens too, I think that we overlook sometimes, is when a team is up that big, a lot of times you put in backups, right? And so you think about that, even if they did or didn't, the second group didn't allow a touchdown, right? Like, it was a dominant defensive performance from kickoff to end. And so sometimes, we see a team get a late game score, a 7 of 14, and you go back and look, and really the game was over with, and they just got a couple of garbage TDs. But Kilgore didn't even allow them to have a garbage TD. They're like, not today, sir. You cannot have anything, and you will like it, And so I think that's more impressive, right? Because, again, like I said, they probably rested some guys with the lead that they had, and yet still that defense was able to withstand any kind of pressure that came their way. And so that D-line is going to carry them a long way, and I'm excited to kind of see what it looks like as they continue forward.
Game 4, Pleasant Grove, Carthage. Now this game I had my eye on. I was in the middle of my game as it started. Kind of had my eye on this game early, and Pleasant Grove got up to a 17-7 lead at halftime. And I was like, okay, wait a second now, Carthage. And I think this is the difference in Coach Surratt and some other teams, man. Just halftime adjustments. And they came out a different team, and it just flipped the script, 27-3 in the second half. I mean, they started from the very beginning. I think it was a kind of a bad snap. Pleasant Grove quarterback muffed it, and they picked it up and ran it in, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But this is why you don't pick against Carthage, because, even when they were down, they weren't concerned. They made adjustments and just made a statement win and won by 14 points, even though they were trailing at the half by double digits. Jaron, I know you've talked to your brother about this game. What do you got for us about this game?
Man, well, you said it. I think this just shows how elite. I mean, the athletes, of course, are really talented, but that coaching staff is just incredible. And I think just Coach Surratt, and not just Surratt, but the whole staff is just so good at what they do, and they know their athletes and their kids well. They knew exactly what to dial up and exactly how to respond that second half against a really good PG team. And from what I understand, the emotions were high. I mean, there's, again, no love lost between these two schools by any means, right? And so emotions were high, and to keep that poise, Jet struggled a little bit in the first half, right? But to stay poised like they did was really impressive. And I'm excited to talk about the game this Friday as we get to our next pick'ems. But great effort to both teams, two well-coached teams. But I think it just shows just how elite that Carthage coaching staff is.
Kev, what do you think about this Carthage comeback?
Championship pedigree. I mean, this is, like you said, this is why we don't pick against Carthage until you can prove it. And that's not a slight at any team that's lost to Carthage this year, but until you can go out on the field and beat them for 4 quarters. We said that all year. Chapel Hill hung with them for the first half. Athens took them to the brink, but just couldn't quite finish it off. Pleasant Grove had them in the first half. Then Carthage comes. Until you can beat them 4 quarters, I can't pick against Carthage. And and Jaron's right. It's a testament to that coaching staff and not just Surratt, but even the assistant coaches that are coaching these kids up, the position groups up in between series and on the sideline, making sure that they're motivated and in tune with what's going on. Then at halftime, I want one day in a game like this just to be a fly on the wall when Surratt's going in on because I imagine what it would be like, but then when you see them come out in the second half, flip a switch, and that's the 10-time state champions. That's that we saw in the second half, and I'm impressed with Carthage. And yeah, Jaron, you're right. I can't wait to talk about this game on Friday, because that is going to be a banger.
Jeremy, you might not have been in the locker room with Carthage, but you've been in some locker rooms. What's those kind of conversations like? The way you can push buttons. I mean, you've got different experience there, but
I think you have to know your kids, right? And I think that's really what goes down to this coaching staff, is that they've been around a long time and they know their kids. But I think it's culture, right? They've built a culture of winning. And so I can almost tell you that there's not many kids in that locker room, if any, that didn't think they were going to get a win. They just expect that to happen because that's what they do. And so I think that's part of it. But I think also is great coaches know where those buttons can be pushed, right? You know what kids you can push, who you can lean on a little bit, and I bet you trust your leaders. I think those are moments. But again, I think, we say we want to be in that locker room. I don't think we could air it, or at least some of it. We probably have to have some filtering in there. But it kind of reminds me, I was watching on the way home in the car. We're really listening, but I was listening to the Miami Hurricanes game, and they every time they did a replay, they went to the ACC control center, right? And you could actually hear the officials talking to each other about what they were seeing on replay. And it was kind of an interesting look. I think it would be an interesting perspective to get some snippets of what coaches are saying and thinking on the sidelines. Again, it'd probably have to be heavily edited, but it would be interesting just to see, I think, for the common viewer, like what the coaches are thinking, because I think everybody in the stands knows what the right call should be and what they should do, but it's a whole different scenario when you're on the field. And so hats off to Carthage and that staff and those kids for doing what they do. And again, hats off to Pleasant Grove. I mean, they gave them everything they wanted in that first half, and I'm with them. And again, Carthage does. Champions do what champions do, and I'm not picking against a team like that. And you can't wear the crown if you don't beat the king, right? So you got to knock him down first, and nobody has yet.
All right, Game 5. Carlisle's season comes to an end after a great run for Coach Baker and his staff. They lose 29-7 to Hamilton. They scored the first 7, then Hamilton reeled off 29 unanswered in that game. But they battled. I mean, it was a Hamilton team that was, surely favored. This was one that I missed. I picked with my heart here in the Carlisle Indians, and they just couldn't overcome it. And, you go back to last year when we covered Carlisle, 1-9, didn't make the playoffs, had a rough season. They bring in Coach Baker, and they go to the 3rd round in year 1 with a lot of the same kids. Now, this group, there's still I think a good run in them next year. I think they have a chance to maybe go after a district championship next year, because I think, with this junior group, you've got Elvis Hernandez and Ibar at quarterback, and some of those guys that have been there. This will be a 3-year starting spot for them next year. And so I'm excited for the future for Carlisle. I'm sure he's got some young kids coming up. But, Jaron, we've covered them the last couple of years. How awesome was this for year 1 for Coach Baker to get to that 3rd round?
Well, again, I think this is what Carlisle was used to, right? I mean, this is why they brought Coach Baker back, right? Because the past couple of years was not what they were used to, right? And there's a crop of talent here. And something that I text our guys that were covering the game and reminded them of, Carlisle's, I think, the 3rd or 4th smallest of the D1 schools, 2A
And
D1 schools.
you read my mind, because I was actually just going to go there. I was like, realignment could be favorable to them, because if they
possibly
if they got moved down to 282, I wouldn't want to see them on the other side of the football.
And what's crazy is I was watching this game pretty closely as I was trying not to fall off a ladder putting on Christmas lights, but I was watching it pretty closely, and the defense for Carlisle really stepped up, particularly in the end of the first half, and had a couple of opportunities. The defense did their job on a couple of times and forced some big stops against Hamilton, but the offense for Carlisle just couldn't get the ball really deep into the red zone and into the end zone. And I was just thinking, man, because that Hamilton offense, I mean, it was going to be tit for tat, right? And so missing those opportunities for your offense to capitalize on those turnovers for defense at the end of the first half, I think, is really kind of what put Carlisle behind the 8 ball, and also some key injuries, right? And that's kind of been one of the things they've struggled with all year, is just keeping everybody healthy, right? And so, but kudos to them. I mean, that's a talented group. That fan base is great. We've got a lot of interaction from that fan base. That community is so proud of this team, and I'm with you, Brad. I think we're in for some fun Indian football next season.
Jeremy, what do you think about this Carlisle Indian season?
Yeah, I mean, I got to see him a couple times, and I'm impressed. I mean, again, like this, they had a tough matchup with Hamilton. I think the thing that, like you said, they've got a fairly young team overall. They're going to lose some pieces, but if you look at their district, I mean, we were at the game that they did against Frankston, and you and I walked down at halftime, and I felt like 2/3 of the team was on the wall on the fence for seniors for Frankston. They're going to lose a lot this year. I think they had 14 or 15. So, I mean, probably half their squad were seniors. And so not only is Coach Baker building a winning thing, but I think you're going to see some district shakeup, potentially, because a team like Frankston was so senior laden. And so they've got a chance to do even more than they did with a group of seniors coming back. And, this Hamilton team, I watched a little bit of it, and it was, I mean, they made plays when they needed to, right? And they were stifling on defense. I think they, again, they turned the ball over, and then their defense bowed up, right? And so I think that says a lot about, we talked about it, defense wins championships. And if your offense has a mistake, you got to have a defense that can back it up. And so I think that was the difference in the game. But I don't know how you'd be disappointed if you're a Carlisle fan after last year, and Coach Baker was able to come in and do it in year 1. And again, I think, man, give him another year. Like they get the off season, they get to it, right? They get all those things to get ready for the next year. And again, realignment's going to be a big deal, and see where that lands them. But I mean, I see a team that's going to be prepared to make some good noise next year as they go into the next season as well.
How excited, if you're a Carlisle Indian fan, should you be with what year one turnaround was?
I think you have to be super excited, and because of what the future can hold. You have all these kids coming back next year. It'll be another year in Coach Baker's system. Yes, Carlisle and Coach Baker had been to this point before, but those kids had not. This is a new group of kids that hadn't been there before. Now they've had 1 year in Coach Baker's system, a full off season with it, and then going into that with basically the same team coming back. Like, you have to be super excited if you're a Carlisle Indian fan. And I think to Jeremy's point, there and with realignment, realignment in February, you don't really know what the district's going to look like. So, yeah, I think there could be a shakeup for sure. And this Carlisle team now will have the experience of playing in these big games. So hopefully next year, maybe go a little further. But yeah, you got to be super excited if you're a Carlisle Indian.
And we're going to do a realignment show, and that'll be interesting because mention it, they're one of the lowest teams. There could be a drop if they were to slip down in that 2A Division II bracket. Ooh.
Problem is, though, you may get dropped into that Mount Enterprise, Overton, and Lovelady district, and that
they beat Overton this year, and
true.
They played right with Mount Enterprise. I mean, they held Mount Enterprise to the least points anyone.
Think about that. They lost to Mount Enterprise, but held them to the least amount of points. Mount Enterprise still playing. They beat San Augustine, who is still playing. They beat Overton, who just got knocked out in the third round. Like, this Carlisle team had some impressive wins this season as a younger team. So, yeah, the more I talk about it, the more excited I get for Carlisle.
Well, and I'm looking at the roster right now, guys. I mean, McCamey's coming back. Ibarra's coming back. Grisby's coming back. All the Garzas, except one, I think, are coming back. I mean, Brandon's coming back. Brian's coming back. I mean, Elvis Hernandez is coming back. I mean,
listen, when you talk about the Garzas, when there's 15 of them, there's bound to be some Garzas coming back.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. But
there's a lot of every time you're like, wait, is that Brandon Garza, Brandon C. Garza, Brandon G. Garza? Like, it's so awesome. It's my favorite.
I mean, they're losing Mahia. They're losing Aiden Martin. They're losing some key guys, but man, they've got some guys coming up and that have gotten. You got to think too. These guys, these juniors, have been playing a lot since their freshman year, right? And so a lot of starts under their belt. And so wherever they end up district-wise, because D1 and D2 are both really good districts, right here. And so it's going to be fun.
All right. Game 6. St. Augustine got the win 43-33 over Beckville in what turned out to a big-time shootout. Now, I didn't get to see a ton of this game, but I did watch a little bit of it. And St. Augustine got off to a nice little lead, and I think just kind of cruised in. Beckville tried to come back at the end. Kyle, tell us a little bit about this one. I was not expecting the fight for Beckville. I thought St. Augustine would handle them, pretty easily, and they did at first. But I guess just that district showed its muscle. They kind of flexed it this week. What'd you think about this one?
Well, there was another team that flexed it mighty heavily this week for sure. But St. Augustine, I thought this game would be a lot lower scoring than it was because Beckville doesn't put up a ton of points. They play a more defensive style. And we've seen when St. Augustine goes up against the defense, like Carlisle, for example, where they were held to 22 points. Granted, they had 5 turnovers in that game, but we've seen that offense kind of be stymied a little bit. But there was a couple of plays that I saw from the highlights that were just athletic plays, just St. Augustine being more athletic than the other team. And they have so many studs on that field. And I'm excited for Coach Barnes and the Wolves. They did get out to a big lead and kind of had to hold on to it there at the end, which you don't love to see that. You want it when you got a team down like that, just put your foot on their throat and end it. Don't give them any hope to come back. But I think you got to give kudos to Beckville and Coach Ross for that, because any Coach Ross coached football team is not going to give up. They're not going to quit. And we have a streak that has come to an end. It will end at 5 consecutive seasons that Beckville reached double-digit wins. They got to 9 this year. They needed that win to make it 6 straight, but still not a bad season. You make it to the 3rd round of the playoffs.
And they started, kind of slow. We were concerned about Beckville, and They turned it on in the middle of the season there.
Yeah, they got it figured out, and we're really playing good ball at the end. But I think that speaks to just how good the San Augustine team is to make a team like Beckville that was, I think, playing their best ball right now and go out and beat them by 10 points. And probably it really wasn't even that close. I think San Augustine handled it pretty well. But yeah, I'm happy for Coach Barnes, happy for the Wolves, and excited to see what they can do this week.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, hats off to San Augustine. Interesting, and again, I mean, you start the year and you lose to San Augustine, and then I think the bitter part is you finish the year losing to San Augustine, right? You lose to them opening season 19-0, right, and then you lose to them at the end. But again, their losses were to San Augustine twice, Joaquin, who's still playing, and then Elysian Fields, who just got knocked out. So I mean, all of your losses were teams that made it to the third round of playoffs, right? And so, I mean, you can't. I mean, it's again. I'm sure they're disappointed they didn't get to that 10th win, but this wasn't a disappointing season. You go 3 rounds deep. You just met a really hot team. And again, it's hard to beat a team twice. So hats off to San Augustine for beating you at the beginning and the end. And again, I mean, this is that time of year where it doesn't matter how you win, but to win by 10 and really probably a little bit more based on it was just a little bit of late there, but still, I mean, that's a big win for this Wolves team, and they're going to keep running.
Jaron?
Yeah, well, Beckville's been kind of pesky all season, right? And you look at particularly the second half of their season, they had that overtime win over Union Grove. They had that pretty tight 7-point win over Paul Pewitt, a 1-point win over Jewett-Leon. Even Wascom, they it was just an 11-point game. So they've been kind of pesky all year, right? And so it doesn't surprise me that they didn't go down without a fight. But St. Augustine, I just think they are they're just rolling. And I think the bracket was favorable to them in a sense, and it really has boded well for them. And again, this is probably the second game I'm most excited about talking about in a little bit when we talk about this week's games.
All right. Next up, game 7. Troop's great season comes to an end. Their undefeated record, they go down to Newton 46-13. And what Newton just pounded the rock, man. Just pounded the rock on Troop. Troop couldn't get a lot going. There was one play, Troop was, I think, down 24-6. They threw a touchdown pass, and it was called back for a holding call, and that kind of cut the momentum they had going, and they just couldn't get it going against this Newton attack. And we talked about how Newton's schedule and who they played and how impressive they've been, and so a shout out to that Troop team. I mean, a great season. They've got a lot coming back, so they've got some things to look forward to. They've got some key pieces returning. Coach Wells and his staff, they'll turn this into a something they'll look forward to in the off season. As far as this is how it felt to get beat here, and some things to work on in the off season. KO, I mean, we kind of thought this might be the matchup that could get Troop, and it did get them, but a lot of positives to look forward to for the Troop Tigers.
Yeah, and it's obviously going to sting a little more. We talked about, we haven't talked about, but it was rivalry week last week for college football, and then Troop's arch rival gets a win and advances in the playoffs, and Troop goes home. So that's going to sting a little more too. But yeah, we were kind of worried about this matchup, and when we saw the bracket originally released and saw that this was a potential third round matchup, it was like, man, that's going to be tough because of how good Newton has been traditionally. And then this year, it looks like they're back to that classic Newton Eagle squad that could make another run to the state championship. But hats off to Troop. 12-1 is still a phenomenal season. And like you mentioned, they got some key players coming back next year. So again, same thing with Carlisle. Troop has the experience now that they've been to this stage. They felt the pain of defeat. They know what it's going to take to go past it next season. So, and like we've said before, realignment. You never know what's going to happen with realignment and what the bracket will look like next year at this time. So, unfortunate loss for Troop, but they battled, and Newton's just a really good football team.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, you hate it for this troop team, and again to take a loss here. But man, this Newton squad. I mean, playoff week 1, 70-10. Week 2, 68-0. Week 3, 46-13. I mean, Troop hung the most points on them in the playoffs at 13, which is just saying a lot, right? To only give up 23 points to score. I mean, you're at what, 184 points to 23. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to do what they've done. And ARP is going to have a tough test coming up, right? And so, but again, this troop team shouldn't hang their head. Like you said, they've got key guys coming back. They've had a great season. Like you said, we talked about it was going to be a tough look if they got to this point just because of that Newton squad and what we thought where they were going to bring. And Newton's been everything that's been advertised and kind of been the East Texas bugaboo, I guess you'd say, taking out some of the teams that they took out with New Diana also. And so, yeah, a good season for the Tigers, and again, they'll be able to use this as kind of a springboard to push them into that same spot next year and hopefully further.
Jaron?
Yeah, I mean Newton. They've had 5 state championships. They've had 3 in the past 11 years. Coach Johnston, Drew Johnston, he took over for his dad, Coach W.T. Johnston, that led Newton to those 5 championships, and his last year coaching was our last state championship, and I think this is the year where they can make a run. And again, I know our upper East Texas teams have kind of been the ones falling victim to this run for Newton, but that's just a really good storied program that's been around a long time. The first state championship happened back in 1987, and then just really been rolling since then. And for the most part. And so, but as you guys have said, kudos to Troop. I think they're a team that not only did they have a great season, but they did so handily, right? I mean, they beat the mess out of opponents, right? And I mean, let's go back to that the rivalry against ARP, right? And so which that was just a big game for Troop, and so kudos to them, and definitely think they've got something to ride coming into the coming years.
All right, game 8, Fort Bend Crawford all over Pine Tree, 48-13, and the Pirates' season comes to an end. But an historic season, first time to ever make it this far for Pine Tree. We'll see what alignment brings them, as they'll be along with Lindale, kind of that on that line to see where they fall. But a great season for this Pine Tree Pirate team. KO, I know it's a tough one for them to lose, and I feel like this game might be a little bit closer. But shout out to Pine Tree and a great season for them. What are you thinking the Pirate Nation is going to feel once things are kind of, the sting from this loss kind of goes away?
Well, Jeremy talked about Newton being East Texas killers. Fort Bend Crawford has been East Texas killers, knocking out Chapel Hill, Lindale, and now Pine Tree. District of Doom. They've taken out the District of Doom.
They didn't beat Chapel Hill. Bridge City beat.
Sorry.
We didn't get that far, KO. We were out first.
But still, they've taken out 2 District of Doom teams that we, think is one of the toughest districts in the state. And so impressive run by a young school, a young program, Fort Bend Crawford. And we talked about this last week, how this is the time to pounce on it, because they're going to move up classification, I'm sure, in this next realignment. But I hate it for Pine Tree, but you're talking about what when they look back at this season, I think especially the seniors, when they look back at it, they can say, we were the first, because there may be a team in the future that goes there, but we were the first team to get to the 3rd round of the playoffs in Pine Tree football history. And
kind of a quiet run this year.
We
weren't completely down on Pine Tree, but we were kind of like, we were concerned, I think, just because of all the people that they had lost, and they got off to a little bit of a slow start. But as the season went, man, they caught fire and they found something, and it just really propelled them into the playoff run.
I think you got to credit Coach Bachman and that coaching staff a lot, because when you lose that much talent on both sides of the ball, and then you come out and kind of start a little rocky, they figured something out mid-season that they found an identity to this team and something that worked for them, and they carried it all the way into the postseason and made a good run too. So yeah, I think hats off to Coach Bachman and the coaching staff. And yeah, you're going to be disappointed right now, but I think Christmas time, after the state championships are over and you have time to kind of decompress and look back at the season, there's a lot of positives that can come from this. And like you mentioned, who knows what's going to happen with realignment and who knows what's going to happen next season. But I think it was a great coaching job by that coaching staff to get Pine Tree to where they went.
Jaron?
Yeah. So kudos to the Pirates. And again, you hate it because we don't know what realignment's going to do. They were out on the bubble, and we knew when they dropped that, although they were dropping into a tough district, that they're playing schools a little bit more on their level population wise and stuff like that. So we'll see if they stay there or not. But kudos to those guys. I think Fort Bend Crawford's going to have a little bit tougher test this week, and so we'll see what happens with that. But kudos to the Pirates.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of all touched on it, but you go back and look, they lost 3 of their first 5 games, right? And at the time, we didn't think the loss to Gilmer was a big deal, right? But then we saw how Gilmer's season unfolded. We're like, man, I don't know, this Pine Tree team. And then you lose to Van, right? And then you lose to Kilgore, which almost everyone does, right? So it's okay. And then all of a sudden, they just roll off a few wins, and they get beat by Lindale, but it's 17-10. They hung right there, and we're like, okay, this Pine Tree team is – and again, they won big. In their first round playoff, they beat Houston Yates by 7, and then they just hit this Fort Bend Crawford team. And I wouldn't be shocked if this Fort Bend Crawford team shoots up to 5A1 or maybe even the 6A. I mean, I don't know. From what I've heard, they've got big numbers, in their enrollment. And they, like you said, they benefited from being a new team, or a new school when the alignment kind of started. And so it'll be interesting to see where they go. But I wouldn't be shocked if they moved up a couple of spots in the ranking or in the divisions when realignment comes. So they've got a good shot here this year, and beginning a tough test. And again, a great season for Pine Tree. I think after the way you started, especially to gain the momentum you did, says a lot about them and their program and where they can move going forward.
All right. Game
Hey,
9.
real quick. I looked up their snapshot number. Their snapshot number is 1256. To compare it to Lindale, which is at 1286. So it's actually low. Yeah, they'll still probably be 481 at realignment time.
Wow.
So
they could have another 2 years at growing even more by the time.
And maybe I just heard wrong. I just thought I heard somewhere that they were bigger than that, but maybe they unenrolled about
25.
They unenrolled about 500 kids.
That's the wrong figure.
Like, okay.
That's the wrong figure.
That may have been the one from last time, huh?
Yeah.
Yep, it was for sure. 1 second, I'll get you those real quick because all right. Let's try this again with the updated numbers here.
Okay.
Crawford. Okay, 1438.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they added 200 kids. So they'll definitely they'll be 5A Division 2 probably.
Yeah, so in comparison, they are Marshall, which is 5A D2, is 1407. And Terrell, which is 5A D2, is 1449, and they're in the middle of that. So yeah, they'll move up to 5A D2 for sure.
Okay. All right. Game 9. First off, I want to start before we get into game 9 with an apology.
Me too.
I'm going to apologize to
I'll take it
Coach Jones, Coach Jones and the Joaquin Rams. I'm issuing you an apology right now. You made a statement and a point this week, 74-21, and that last touchdown was at the very end. I may have had some recency bias. My apologies. I just saw Nunu Kennedy just go insane, and so I had some recency bias. They had Elysian Fields. Shout out to them, had a great season. But Joaquin made a statement this week. Last week was a statement. I should have read it last week when they took Honey Grove to the woodshed. But I got it this week, Joaquin. You're on a roll. Cooper Bragg is back, and he is leading this offensive attack. So I apologize. I missed this one. Hey, but I want to say only 12 people picked Joaquin out of the 61 votes. So I wasn't the only one. I think there was probably 3 others in this group probably picked. Even the Ram lover earlier in the season, Jeremy Diamond was on that Ram bandwagon, but he jumped off. So,
oh man, I missed 2 picks all week, and this is one of them.
Jaron, you weren't on the show either. Did you pick Elysian Fields as well?
Yeah.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I did pick Elysian Fields.
Okay. We were all in the same boat.
And we should have known. But check this out. So in 3 weeks of the playoffs, Joaquin has scored 157. He scored 157 points, right? All season up until the playoffs, they scored 270, right? So in 10 weeks, they average 27 points a game. Now they're averaging
but
50 points a game.
That was the regular season Rams. The playoff Rams are a different breed of
that's
Ram.
what I'm saying.
It's like they supersized their Ram. Like they went up from like the regular old Dodge Ram truck to like the super cab Ram or something. I don't know.
They added a Hemi.
They added a Hemi. There you go.
Dude, and again, and these are good. Honey Grove's a good team, a really good team. Elysian Fields is a really good team. And they're not just beating them, but they're, goodness gracious. 74 points against EF and
pounding the rock too, Jaron. Just pounding the rock.
And then allowing Honey Grove to only score 8. That's insane. And so, I'm not picking it. I know we're not there yet, but I'll go ahead and tell you, I ain't picking against them. Ain't no way. So kudos to the Rams, Coach Jones. And again, we were part of that run last year. We should have known that once they get to playoffs, that's what they do. Shame on us.
Yeah. KO?
Well, I echo your sentiments with the apology. I've got my Joaquin blue on though today, so I'm wearing the Ram blue in support of Joaquin. But yeah, what an impressive victory over Elysian Fields and Nunu Kennedy. And I think I'm with you, Brett, because I watched that game last week against Garrison, and I saw Nunu on the field and saw what he was doing. And Joaquin did not care. Joaquin absolutely did not care. And shout out to Clayton Carroll. Clayton Carroll, Joaquin Ram fan. He reached out to me this week, and he was like, dude, I watch the show every week. Y'all ain't picking Joaquin. What's going on? Do y'all not learn your lesson? Well, brother, we learned our lesson. I can tell you we have learned our lesson. Now, out of principle, I can't pick Joaquin because I've been going against Joaquin and they've been winning. So if I start picking them and they lose, y'all ain't about to blame me for that. So I'm going to stay off the Joaquin bandwagon. I'm on it, but I'm off of it, if that makes sense. So I'm cheering for Joaquin, but I can't publicly.
He's just setting this up because he's a San Augustine guy. Don't listen to him. He's been on that hype train too. He's just trying to. Boy, everybody should win, guys. You sound like someone else over here.
I feel like he's talking like Jaron over here, where he's picking both teams.
No. I didn't pick both teams. No. We're not even to that portion.
Is that Mr. Red Peoples? Is that what that says, Mr. Red Peoples?
We'll get there, but I'm not picking both teams. There will be a winner and a loser. Okay. I'm just saying, just know, Joaquin fans, when I don't pick Joaquin, it's not because I don't want to. It's because I can't. My hands are tied now. The success of Joaquin is directly linked to me picking them or not. And so I have to hold to my standards here.
I think it's more linked to Cooper Bragg, but we'll go. We can go with it.
The players have a lot to do with it, Jaron. Sure.
That's the difference. And Joaquin, when they're healthy with Bragg in the backfield, he makes a huge difference.
All joking aside, that is a huge win for Joaquin, and I'm extremely happy for Coach Jones and the Rams. And you're right, and that's what Clayton said too. Playoff Joaquin is just different. They are just different. It's like it flips into another gear. They realize, hey, it's time for us to go on a run. Let's make a run. So, I think it'll be another fun game this week, a little district rematch. But I'm happy for Joaquin, happy for Coach Jones, and happy to see what they can do going forward.
Jeremy?
Yeah, a huge win. Again, I owe an apology as well. I picked Elysian Fields, having watched Nunu Kennedy in person and what he can do. I thought they might be able to contain him. I didn't think they'd be able to stop him, and they proved otherwise. Unbelievable. 70-plus points, and that's crazy. It's insane offensively, right? Much less that you hold a team like Elysian Fields who's been explosive to really, let's be honest, 13 points before that last touchdown, right? And, that's incredible. And again, nothing against Elysian Fields, Coach Maines. They had an amazing season. He comes in kind of in a program that was hurting in a lot of ways, right? And was able to kind of galvanize a community, get some guys to play that hadn't played in years. That says a lot about a guy, right? That says a lot about a coach. If you can get kids that haven't played in years to buy into your system, to say, hey, I know that you got things going on. I want you here when you can be here. Let's get here and let's do something with this. I think that says a lot about that program. And again, Nunu Kennedy is a special guy, incredible athlete. And so I think that's, again, that's just a testament to the coaching staff, to this team. They just ran into a buzzsaw with horns and a hard head and all the above. And man, Joaquin they're a different team in this playoff team. And it's going to be a fun matchup this week. I'm excited to see what that one looks like. So get your ice packs ready and get your slings and all your gear ready, because it's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Game 10, the longest game of the weekend. I think I don't know what the exact time from start to finish, but I'd gather it's probably in the 6-hour range somewhere. I don't know what time that game ended. Kale, you got out of there at a perfect time, but you were there for the first half. How impressive were the ARP Tigers of just basically shutting down what Edgewood had done all season and, playing that hard-nosed defense that we've seen them do all year?
Defense wins championships. I will say that to my grave. And ARP's defense showed up and showed out. We just saw this Edgewood offense run up and down the field on Woodville the week before, and ARP was hitting. ARP was in Golightly's face almost every pass. Like you talked about Holloman was running for his life against Mount Enterprise. Golightly he was on the move he could not drop back and just look in a clean pocket. Like there was always somebody in his face or running around him. I don't know if DeMarvion Overshone being at the game had anything to do with the Tiger defense playing a little better. I don't know. No, I didn't go up to DeMarvion. I didn't want to interrupt him. He was sitting in the stands like a normal fan. You figure NFL player, he'd get sideline access and just be standing there. But
he probably likes being with the people, KO.
I'm sure he does.
People, I feel like.
I'm sure. And I wanted to go up and say hello, but I also respect the people that are, celebrities, if you will. I respect that because I don't want to. They're not trying to draw attention, especially if he's sitting in the stands like that. He's not trying to draw attention, so I didn't want to draw any more attention. But it was very tempting to go and say what's up to him. But anyway, Demo being in the house obviously helps the ARP Tigers with that. But Josh Smith, dude, 200.
He was
86 yards, I think.
Trucking folks, just running hard, man.
6 touchdowns in that game. He was phenomenal, and it's hard. And the defense balled out. We talked about putting pressure on Golightly. My man Zion Washington, if you go back and watch the highlights, one hand pick, pick 6, big man, pick 6, went to the house. Then later in the drive, later in the quarter, Josh Smith, not only on offense, he got a pick, returned it down to about the 2-yard line, then rushed it in for another touchdown. So, yeah, this defense was clicking on all cylinders. Josh Smith and the offense was doing their thing. This ARP team is a tough team, and they're going to get their biggest test of the year coming up Friday night against Newton. But why not? Why not the ARP Tigers with the way that this defense is playing? If they can play like that next week, they have just as good a chance as anybody of beating Newton. So yeah. I'm happy for Coach Schminke and the ARP Tigers.
I'm just so impressed. They just put it.
They are impressive. Yeah.
Jaron?
Yeah, so this is one I lost. I picked Edgewood just because I thought Edgewood was riding right, and two, so the ARP losses, particularly that one against Troop, just kind of, bugged me a little bit. But shame on me. I mean, and again, they did it with style and poise, and as we said earlier, to do so, to not really lose a beat even after the big delay. Just shows kind of the discipline, that they had. And so congrats to the ARP Tigers. Big test this week. We've already talked about that. We'll talk about it some more, but just a great showing for the ARP Tigers and representing that district well.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I think the only game that was longer, and it really wasn't because it never started, but I think that South Lake Prosper game, like every time I looked, it was like delay. It never started. I don't think it started till after midnight. If it started, I think they played it Friday night, didn't they?
They did. I watched it way late. It was
Commerce and Grandview didn't end till like 1:30 in the morning either.
Yeah, I saw that one too. I watched the end of that one, and then when I look back, I think the South Lake Prosper one had been in a delay again, or so I don't know. It was the most, but I mean, this game was forever long. It was and I think the hardest thing too is when you're up big, right? When you're up big and there's a long delay, like those are nervy as a coach because you don't know if your guys are going to come out with the same juice that they were playing with, right? Like that's the hardest part about a delay is if you're behind, it's the best time, right? You're like, thankfully we got a break, we can readjust, we can make some adjustments. But if you're ahead, it's just you don't know how your players are going to react. You don't typically have delays that long, and so for them to come in and stay locked in and finish that game well, I think says a lot about this ARP team. And again, Edgewood had a great season, something they hadn't really done before. But yeah, ARP is moving in the right direction, and we thought we could possibly see a Troop ARP rematch or something, and then but now it's going to be ARP and Newton, and man, that's going to be a big one too. So there's going to be some good ones I think coming up, and I'm going to take a wild shot in the dark that one's probably in a pick 'em or something, and we're going to have to make a choice on some of these tough ones we've talked about. Just guess.
It might be. I wanted to go over the overall standings. I didn't mention that earlier. Lewis Ray is in the lead with 99. Doug Montgomery in second at 97, and Mr. NetSN, Brett Swinny at third with 96. Let's see, where are you guys down? I think I saw Jeremy he's at 90. Jeremy at 93 in seventh place. Let's see, Jaron, you're in 11th. They're at 92. Chad Grubbs there at 91, 16th place. Brandon Ogden at 90 in 18th place. Kyle, I don't see you there on the first page.
I'm not in the 90s. I'm still sitting there at 89.
Oh, you're not.
He's got a high B.
In school, I would eat 89s up for lunch. That would be awesome.
Yeah, you're at 89. You're in 22nd. Not bad. You're right off the first page. So there's still a couple of weeks left. You got time to gain a few.
And Jaren's, Darren is at 85. I mean, he's
okay.
Oof. I wonder if he missed a week in there or something. Did he?
He must have, because otherwise he'd probably be ahead of Jaron. He's looking here. He's not. He didn't respond to that. Okay.
No, I thought you said Jaron was at 85. I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, we said Darren. He said he must have missed a week. Otherwise, he'd be ahead of you.
No. We could. I mean, if we want to throw out receipts, I've been keeping receipts on that boy for 39 years now. But yeah, no. So we'll see. This will be a good week because it's it's getting more statewide now, right?
Yeah.
So it's a great equalizer.
Yeah. I just noticed that when I went and looked at it for the first time. I said, "Oh, these are non-East Texas teams. This should be fun."
We gotta start branching out, adding to make it 10. So we gotta add a few games in. We're gonna do this kind of we're gonna go down through the pick'ems, and we'll talk about the bracket that's kind of there while we do the picks. There's not much with that, so we'll just kind of go that direction. So we'll start with Athens and Carthage as our game one pick in 4A Division 2. You've got Brock and Midland Greenwood still alive there. You've got West Orange Stark and Waco La Vega down in Region 3, and then you've got Cuero and Sinton down in the other region. So that's the 8 teams left here in this region. Again, guys, I'm not picking against the Carthage Bulldogs. I know Athens played them close earlier, but I'm sure Carthage is probably a little angry after that first one. I'm thinking they're like, man, we should have beat those guys by more. And so I'm going to take Carthage in this game. And KO, is this going to be where you are Friday?
It is. I will be at Christus Trinity Mother Francis Rose Stadium for the matchup. I'm excited for this one, man. I think it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game. I'll get the suspense out of the way. I'm not picking against Carthage. Like we talked about it already. Until someone beats them, I can't go against them. Now, if Athens comes out there and wins, I will be ecstatic for the Athens Hornets and for Coach Harrell. I think I have my buddy that I graduated with. He has a kid that's on the Athens football team. So I know people over there. But Carthage is Carthage, man. Carthage is Carthage. KJ Edwards is, I believe he set a school record last week for touchdowns or for yards, one of them. I can't remember which. But, yeah, I can't go against Carthage, but I think it's going to be an awesome game.
All right. Jaron, who you got?
Yeah, so I may be there too. I think I may visit that game as well. Not broadcasting, but just being there. But, yeah, so if Carthage has, I don't even want to call it a weak spot, but they have given up a lot of points. Now, a lot of times that's some garbage points towards the end of the game, where it's a little bit later on, right? But I think now Athens obviously nothing to lose, right? I mean, they can throw everything against the wall. They can throw the kitchen sink at it and see what works. But and Coach Harold knows what he's doing. He's been doing this a long time. Comes from a big pedigree as well, as we know. And I think it's going to be Carthage. I just think that team, that coaching staff, they're just so good at what they do, particularly since it's an opponent they've already seen, right? And I think that's just more in their favor. I think Coach Preston will make the defensive adjustments they need to keep that Athens offense, which is really explosive at bay. But I'm picking Carthage for sure.
All right, Jeremy, are you going to sweep it?
Well, yes. Here's my biggest thing. I am thankful that both coaches kept this game in East Texas where it needs to be. Like, I'm thankful that cooler heads prevail. Like, smart. Like, again, that game last week should have never been played in the DFW area. I get it. Nobody wants to give an advantage.
Hey,
whatever.
We got a reasoning for that though. Matt
Okay.
Stepp reached out to me and told us, because he watches the show. Shout out Stepp. But he reached out and he said Lobo was unavailable due to construction. Rose wouldn't host because they didn't have the workers to host because they were already hosting one game, so they had to go somewhere. Nowhere else would
okay.
fit
That makes
so there was a reasoning.
That makes me feel better. Okay.
Yeah.
And
surely they could have thrown out a flyer on in Tyler and just said, "Hey, Facebook fam, anybody want to work this game?" I can't imagine people wouldn't have shown up in droves. But at least there's a big deal.
It's a big deal for Carthage to play at Tyler. And I'm going to say there's been some bad juju in the past. There's
Carthage Gilmer a couple years ago.
Yeah. So I'm just saying. But I'm with you. I'm glad that game's here.
Yeah. So anyway, no suspense here. I'm going to take Carthage again. This is nothing against Athens. Like, they are phenomenal. If it was any other team, I would pick Athens all day, every day, and on Sunday because of what they've done. But again, until you knock off the king, you can't be the king. You got to be the heir to the throne. And so if they want the hat, they want the crown, they got to get work done this week. And if they do, there'll be nobody happier than me. Again, they've been phenomenal. We got to see them in person. They were outstanding. But this is still Carthage, and they're still the team that's got 10 rings for a reason.
All right. Game number 2. We've got Kilgore and Fort Bend Crawford. Another one. I'm going 2 for 2 with the Red Dogs. I'm taking Kilgore, and there's not much more to say. I think they named the score in this one. Could be another shutout. They may allow a couple of scores, but I think their defense shores up and shuts down Fort Bend Crawford season. Jaron, who you got?
Kilgore. Pedigree's there. Defense is good. It's going to be Kilgore.
Jeremy?
Well, some people might hit the east side of the FBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G, but that's not me, because I'm picking the Kilgore Bulldogs all day, every day, and on Sunday. Shout out to my high school anthem going into games every week. Regulators was the hit. I don't know if it helped any or not, but we sure felt awesome coming off the bus. No, but give me Kilgore. Give me the Bulldogs.
Kyle, I don't know how you follow that.
Regulators, mount up. Respect the K. I'm taking the Kilgore Bulldogs all day.
All right. Game 3. This is an interesting one. A region, I guess a 3A Division 1, as we thought we might have a team in this game to start the playoff run. You've got Pottsboro and Grandview. They both, Commerce lost by 1 in that late night game y'all were mentioning a while ago, 49-48. So they are out. I guess their last tie to East Texas. So you've got Pottsboro and Grandview here. This will be an interesting matchup here. We've got in this bracket, you've got Peaster and Paradise up top with Pottsboro and Grandview. Then you've got Yoakum and Columbus, that team that the fighting Grayson Rigdon's not there anymore, but that's his former team. They seem to not be missing him. They're back in the regional final again as they beat Franklin. That was one of the big games of the week there in the state, as Franklin is out. And then down at the bottom, you got Llano and Edna. So that's the teams left in this bracket. But in this matchup, who you guys got? We're going to start with, let's see, Jeremy, you're up top. Let's go with you first.
Okay, so I was watching the Pottsboro Whitney game, and that might be the craziest ending to a game I've seen. So it's 35-27. They're in a delay. They finally come back from the delay. Whitney's got the ball. I think less than a minute and a half left, they get the ball, right? Pottsboro gets stopped, turnover on downs or whatever, and then Whitney proceeds to march down the field, and they score. So it's 35-33. And I'm laying in bed trying to be real quiet because everybody else in the house is asleep. And they go for two to tie the game. And Pottsboro picks it and takes it to the house. And so what would have been a 35-35 game turns into 37-33 with just a little bit of time left. And so, of course, Whitney tries to do the onside kick. They don't get it. Pottsboro gets it and is able to kneel it out. But what an incredible finish. I mean, we were inches away from a tie game and going to overtime on a game that had been delayed multiple times. And so you got that one. And then you had Grandview and Commerce who went back and forth. And, dude, the Zebras got some dudes. They got a kid named Blue Hubbard who's, I don't know, 6'5", 240. And the guy can run. He can catch. Like, they put him in the back. Like, when they sent us their scouting thing, like, you couldn't tell who was a receiver, who was a running back. You weren't even sure who the quarterback was when we went to do that game when I pulled it up last minute because there was like 8 different guys that had stats that were similar. And so it was like, I don't know who's going to do it, but they've just got guys that can go. And they've got that spread offense. They run, they throw. Their quarterback, number 8, had a really good game against Gladewater, who we thought was a really good team. And, again, just and then they go out this week and they win. And so this is a tough one. I think though, with the way that Pottsboro plays defensively, I'm going to take Pottsboro in this one. It's going to be a tough one though. I think it's going to go down to the wire again.
All right, Jaron, you're right behind Jeremy. What do you got?
Man, so I'm going back and forth on this one. Grandview allows a lot of points, but Pottsboro, like you said, Jeremy, plays good defense. Grandview just knocked off a really good Commerce team. Commerce team.
Oh, breaking news.
And Commerce team, sorry. And so, Grandview is not too far removed from a deep run in the playoffs. The Zebras not too long ago. So I'm going to go with Grandview. I'm going to go with the Zebras.
Okay. KO?
Both these teams took out East Texas squad, so I was going to say since Pottsboro took out Malakoff, I'll take Grandview, but Grandview took out Gladewater. So, I don't know anything about Whitney. That sounds like a phenomenal game, Jeremy, the way you described it. Sounds like it was a really good one. I don't know anything about Whitney, so I don't know. I know they beat Winsboro, so they got to be, decent. But Commerce, to me, has had the stronger season, and so the more impressive win in the third round is Grandview. So I'm going to take the Zebras because I don't know anything about either one of these teams. So give me Grandview.
All right. So we got Jeremy. Did you have Grandview also?
No, I did Pottsboro. I'm gonna take another. I'm gonna move a step closer here.
Wow, that's
calling it now.
That's interesting. I was looking at both teams. I was kind of comparing, and Grandview actually lost to Whitney during the regular season. Pottsboro just beat Whitney, so I'm going to take Pottsboro just from the head-to-head matchup. But I think this is a coin flip; could go either way.
That'd have been valuable information to know before I made my pick, Brett. Thank you.
You can still change your pick.
I was not going to say that out loud going first. I was going to leave that to the end and then let everybody get locked in. But Brett had to.
No, I'm staying with Grandview. I'm staying with Grandview. It doesn't matter what you did in the regular season.
It doesn't always mean anything. That's my reasoning because I don't know enough about these two teams. Jeremy actually saw Grandview, so he has more knowledge probably about at least Grandview than anybody else because he did get to see them play. So, I'm going to go with Pottsboro.
It's going to be a shootout, though. It's going to be a high-scoring game for sure.
Speaking
again,
of
I wouldn't be shocked if Grandview won. Like I really wouldn't. Like it wouldn't surprise me at all. They kind of seem like those kind of like cardiac kids that kind of hang around and they're just annoying and you can't get rid of them. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I'm just going to go with Pottsboro. So,
speaking of shootout, game 4 could be won. Mount Enterprise and Bremont here. This one, just going over the 2A Division 2, who's left. In Region 1, you've got Stratford and Groover. In Region 2, you've got Lindsay and Munster. And then, of course, Bremont and Mount Enterprise here in Region 3. And then Shiner, a familiar name down there, is going to play Junction in Region 4. Listen, guys. This is kind of on the same lines of Carthage for me. Mount Enterprise, when you got the best player on the field, Hagen Ash, you cannot pick against him. I'm taking the Mount Enterprise Wildcats to get the win here and continue their historic run. Actually, we'll be there to do this game. Jeremy and I will be, so should be a lot of fun. Taryn, who you got?
Man, so Bremont is the East Texas killer, right? I mean, they're the buzzsaw that a lot of the teams, even going back to last year, that's who knocked Mount Enterprise out. That's who knocked, I think it was Grapeland out, right, last year. So it's tough. Now, what's kind of confusing on this one is Bremont just beat a Mart team last week, 17-6. And Mart's down this year considerably compared to what they used to.
They were 4th place in that district.
4th in their district.
Don't
right?
tell Lovelady that.
So record's the record, and so hey, let's ride the Ash train. Let's ride the Wildcats. I'm gonna go Mount Enterprise. Let's do it. Let's go East Texas.
There we go. KO, go ahead.
I'm not going to make this near as suspenseful. Give me Kagan Ash, Joshua Bennett, and the Mount Enterprise Wildcats. I'm with you, Brett. They're kind of on the same level. They're the Timpson of 2023, right? Like I think until somebody beats them and stops Kagan Ash and Joshua Bennett, I'm not picking against them. So give me the Wildcats.
The only thing that stopped Kagan Ash is his own coach when he pulls him out on the sideline and lets him rest for part of the game.
He is beat up though, man. Like when you see him walking on the field, like he walks like a 70-year-old man. Like he is beat up. But all you gotta do is win 3 more games. You got a state championship. So
right.
If you can tough it out, he'll be fine.
Jeremy, for the sweep.
Get your brooms out. We are sweeping this one. Mount Enterprise all day, every day on Sunday. Give me a healthy dose of Kagan Ash with a side of Joshua Bennett, and you got a dub.
All right, I'm excited to have you back.
Plate you could have.
Hey, I'm excited to have you back in the booth with me this week, Jeremy.
I know. It was, dude. I'm telling you, it was hard to not be there. I was dying listening to some of the other calls being made, and not on our network, but some of the other networks, and going, oh man, I wish I could be.
How was Tyrell's debut?
It went well. Tyrell did a good job. He did some basketball last week and also some football. So I think he's super pumped and excited to be a part of it. Jaron, I know
gave him home cooking for his first playoff game. The Henderson boy got to go to Henderson and do it.
Yeah, he felt right. Of course, the press box wasn't built when he was there.
No, it didn't look that way. I played in Henderson when Tyrell was there. It did not look that way.
Jaron, I'm sure you're gonna give the same sentiment that Jeremy is giving there,
dude. And I'm doing what I got to do, but to not be calling playoff games is tough. Golly, but it has been cool to be able to watch them all, every week and just kind of flip through the different broadcasts and stuff like that and hear different folks call and all that. But yeah.
All right.
I will say, since I don't get to call football games, it helps me just as a broadcaster from personal, like listening to other calls. I'm picking up things that. Oh, okay, maybe I should do this more, or
hands down, for sure.
Not going to do that. So I think having some time away from it does help you as a broadcaster pick up different things.
Hands down.
Yeah, and we're always trying to, figure out ways to make things better and, not just broadcasting wise, but, graphical and video and anything else. Always trying to make that broadcast the best we can for our East Texas folks. Okay, we're gonna go move on now. This is gonna be, let's see, the next one. Oh, this one's gonna be tough. Game 5, ARP and Newton. Okay, so I think the matchup for ARP is a little bit better than Troop. And the reason why I say, because ARP's defense, I think, is better. Obviously, they had a bad night against Troop, didn't match up well, but they played really well against a really good Edgewood defense. Having said that, though, I'm still going with Newton because I think they're a better football team. But I will be cheering for the ARP Tigers in this one. I think they have a chance if they can enforce their will on offense with Josh Smith and that running attack. I think that's something that Troop's got Brett Wells, but they throw the ball around. They rely on a lot more passing. And so I think if ARP can control the ball and control the clock and do a lot what Newton does, and their defense can get a pick six or, those kind of big plays that they've done this season, they can hang around in this game. So I don't know that they'll win, but I think they can play this a little bit closer than Troop if they play well and do those things. But I'm going to pick Newton to get the win. Jaron.
Yeah, I mean, my heart's cheering for ARP all the way, but my head tells me I've got to pick Newton. And again, just storied program, strong pedigree. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Newton Eagles.
All right, KO.
I really want to pick ARP. And just be different. And but this Newton team seems for real. It just seems like they're back to the Newton teams of old. ARP hadn't been here since 2016 when Overshone was on the team. Overshone's not walking through that door to play for the ARP Tigers anytime
Not walk
soon.
through. He's not going to be playing.
That's right. That's why I say he's not walking through to play for the ARP Tigers anytime soon. Man, I'm with you, Brett. Like if ARP plays their best game they've played all year, defensively and offensively, I think they can beat Newton. Like I don't think Newton is unbeatable. And when you look back earlier in the season, Jefferson, right, made the first round of the playoffs. They only lost by 7 to this Newton team. So
I think they're built. I think they're built to stay in the game a little bit more than Troop is, right? Just because of the way their style. Here's
the issue, though. If Newton is able to shut down the run, then what does ARP do?
Yeah,
because ARP's not a throwing team. So that's my fear is when you're one-dimensional like that. But I mean, it's a great dimension to have.
Ask Joaquin how one-dimensional's working.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when you're good at it, you're good. But if a team can figure out how to stop it, then you're in trouble. So, and Newton has played good defense. This Troop offense have been putting up a ton of points. They held them to 13. Different style of offense. I get it, but man, you know what? I'm doing it. Give me ARP. Give me the ARP Tigers.
Okay. All right. Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key. Okay, so 2 things. I think if ARP has a more downhill running style, which is more conducive to controlling the clock, right? Where Troop relies more on jet sweeps and they require, they want to get to the edge. And I think Newton's defense is kind of predicated to stopping that. Not that they haven't stopped everybody, but I think they've got speed to handle that clearly because they handled Troop pretty easily. But I think it's also the issue would be, again, if you can slow down that run game, can ARP adjust to that where it looks like Newton's just been able to do whatever they wanted to whoever they wanted. ARP is going to need to get a couple turnovers in the game. They're going to need to be, like you said, to control the clock. I think that's going to be huge. And then I think third downs are going to be big for them, making them 3rd and short. But I've got Newton winning this one. Unfortunately, again, I'm going to be rooting for ARP all day. I hope they continue on a run, but I think Newton's just that team that just seems to have the key for whatever is needed when needed so far. And so it'd be hard to pick against them, only giving up 20 points in the whole playoff. I mean, I don't know how you pick against that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Game 6. Oh, before I go to game 6, I wanted to kind of shout out who's still left. You've got some familiar names in 3A Division 2. You've got Idlo and Wall. Wall's one of the teams that's been talked about all year. It's one to watch for. Of course, Gunner is they're pretty good. They're a state power. They're they're going to play Leonard in the Region 2, and then of course the Arp Newton game in Region 3, and then Tidehaven and East Bernard. Tidehaven's usually there as well, down in that Region 4. So that's who's left in that region. So, all right, Game 6, Joaquin and San Augustine. All right, Jeremy. Question is, will you go back and jump on the Rams bandwagon, or are you going to stick with St. Augustine?
Yeah, so I was a Rams bandwagon guy early on, and then I foolishly got off. They did have a stretch where they didn't play as well. These two teams have played before. San Augustine won at 28-21. San Augustine beat a Beckville team they beat the first time, right? They beat them twice. And San Augustine has been on a roll. They're 10-3. Joaquin is 9-4. But I am going to listen. The Rams they're on a heater, and I know San Augustine played well last week against Beckville, but you put up 74 points in a playoff game. The Rams are going to come for the Wolves, and this time the prey is going to beat the predator. Give me the Rams. I'm going to say they're going to win by 2 scores.
Oh, okay. Jaron?
It's not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
Okay. Jaron won't get that. He won't understand that.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going with the Rams. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to pick against them. I mean, whatever as far as like we picked against them, and then they still. Well, I haven't been on the show the last few weeks. I've been still doing my pick'ems, but so I'm picking the Rams. I think the potential matchup for next week against Refugio, I always never say it right. It's going to be a really good one. I think that they'll beat Mason, and so that's going to be a really good game. But so I'm going with the Rams.
KO, did you spoil it a little bit earlier? Are you going to stick with it?
Listen, San Augustine beat Joaquin in the regular season by 7, but that was regular season Joaquin, not playoff Joaquin. Different beast, different animal. Still a Ram, different style of Ram. I've been riding the San Augustine train all year long. They haven't let me down yet. I can't hop off of it now. And like I told my man Clayton, I can't hop on I am forbidden by Joaquin fans to hop on the bandwagon now because they've been winning with me off of it. So because of that, give me Coach Torrey Barnes and the San Augustine Wolves.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that game, 28-21. Cooper Bragg did not play in that game. I think he's at least worth 2 scores plus. And so I'm taking the Joaquin Rams to get back to the state semifinal for the second year in a row and meet up with a different team this time as Refugio. I think will win too. So it should be a great matchup. But I'm going with the Rams, man. It's playoff time. I know Coach Barnes had a great season, and I'll be happy with either team. Obviously, one of our schools will be winning and moving on to the state semis, which is a good problem to have, right? You got 2 East Texas schools, but I'm going to go with Joaquin in this one. All right. Let's move a little
clear. If Joaquin wins, I will be happy. Like, I'm not going to be mad that Joaquin won. I'm just out of principle. I can't pick him.
Okay. Fair enough, KO. Fair enough. All right. We're going to move over to game 7 now. We're moving statewide as we've ran out of our East Texas teams that are left. So we're going to go some statewide picks. Dallas, South Oak Cliff, and Port Neches Groves. Y'all heard of those teams, right? I figured y'all might have heard something about those 2 teams. They match up this week in a regional final matchup there in 5A Division 2. 5A Division 2, obviously. I'm trying to look through who's left. You got Melissa and Argyle in Region 1. You got this matchup in Region 2. You've got Richmond, Randall, and Iowa Colony, a team that Chapel Hill played a few years ago down there now in 5A Division 2 there in Region 3. And then another team that Chapel Hill played, Bernie, is playing San Antonio, Alamo Heights. I feel like there's some repetitiveness there. All these teams that Chapel Hill caught on their runs are now in 5A. Seems to be what maybe they had a problem with the enrollment difference there. Not making excuses, but they are in 5A now. So it's interesting there. Okay. What do you guys think about this one? Jeremy, we're going to start with you. You've got South Oak Cliff, P&G. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean P&G is a really good team, but how can you go against the Bears of South Oak Cliff? Like you can't go against those Golden Bears. So give me South Oak Cliff. I'm gonna say by 10.
Okay, Jaron.
Yeah, so this is a rematch from last year, obviously, where South Oak Cliff beat P&G pretty handily. And I don't know if it's going to be to quite that of a margin, but I do think Sock's going to win this game at least by, I'd say, 2 scores.
Okay.
So in the battle of acronyms here, SOC taking on P&G, I'm going to take SOC because their last 2 games have not even finished. They haven't even played a full 48 minutes because the Mount Pleasant player got injured late in that game and they called it. But then last week it was like 45-17 and the Storms came and they called that one. So they haven't played a full game in 2 weeks. That's unheard of in the playoffs to be winning by so much that you don't even finish the game. So I'm taking SOC by a lot.
Yeah. Good. We're going to go with the sweep here. I'm taking South Oak Cliff here. You look at the one loss. They lost to Duncanville. That's the only loss they had all year. That's a pretty good team. They're in 6A. So I'm taking South Oak Cliff there for the win. All right. Game 8. Alvarado and Solana, 2 teams that are undefeated coming in. Solana, the state champions from last year. Give me Solana to win this one. I still think they're on a collision course to play Kilgore in a rematch for the state title for the 2nd year in a row. Jaron, who you got?
Did you say Jaron or Jeremy?
Jaron.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was doing some research a little bit earlier on this game. I'm going with Alvarado. And not against Solana. I mean, there's a good chance they'll win. I think Sulphur Springs is a really good program, and Alvarado beat them by 8 in the 2nd round. Springtown's had a good year. They beat them pretty handily. So yeah, I'm going with Alvarado.
Okay, KO.
This one's interesting. The Alvarado, what they did to Springtown really surprised me because Springtown was a favorite to kind of make it to the final. So seeing what Alvarado did to Springtown, seeing what Alvarado did to Sulphur Springs, that gives me pause for concern. But Solana is on the Carthage level. Until I see somebody beat them, I'm not picking against them. So give me Solana.
Jeremy?
Sorry about that computer glitch. It just decided it didn't want to hang out anymore for a minute there. I'll pick Solana as well. I'm gonna go there, and I think that's an easy one.
All right. Game 9. North Crowley and Allen. Man, what a matchup this one is. Jeremy, you're our big school guy. You probably are familiar with these two teams, not from playing against them, but just being in that same classification. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, this one's a crazy one. I mean, you've got an Allen team who's, I mean, it seems like they're always there, right? Like it seems like if you're not in the state semifinals, it's a down year for an Allen team, right? And then you have North Crowley, who's, they're playing great football as well. Man, I don't know. This one's I'm glad you came to me first. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I mean, this is a big high profile matchup here. I mean, you got in this bracket, their division.
The weird thing is you got Allen coming in undefeated, right? And then North Crowley lost to Rockwall, which is kind of a weird one because Rockwall really had a down year for Rockwall, right? I mean, like it wasn't a Rockwall year. The way Allen's playing, man, I don't know. I'm having a hard time picking against. I'm going to take the Allen Eagles and to move forward.
Okay. Didn't North Crowley win state last year?
They did, KO. Allen's probably got 3 times as many people as anyone else in that classification. They have like 6,000 something kids or something.
Yeah, that it's unfair.
No,
if
it's
you,
only officially 48 something because they don't let their freshmen on the same campus as their sophomores through seniors, so they get
well.
to cheat the system.
I mean, I remember when I was younger going to the state championship games when you could afford it and go to sit all day for $10 and watch 3 games at Texas Stadium. And Allen was always there. I remember the Allen Euless Trinity game, Allen South Lake Carroll. Like, there's been some phenomenal.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah. But North Crowley's defending state champs. I'm taking North Crowley to beat Allen. I think. I don't know. I'm taking North Crowley just because they won last year. I love Allen though. Shout out. Oh well, hold on. Wait. They're playing at North Texas Stadium, right? DAQ Stadium. Well, the Eagles have to win if they play at an Eagles field. So change that. Give me the Allen Eagles to beat North Crowley.
Okay, Jaron.
Yeah, I'm going Allen. I think they've kind of risen back, and things are swinging their way. North Crowley, I say a down year. I'm still having a really good year, right? Still playing, but compared to last year. So yeah, I'm going with Allen.
Man, that's tough. All three picked against the state champion. That's interesting. This is tough. I tried to look through the schedule a little bit to see if there's anything that really. The only thing I can see is Allen played Midland Legacy week 1, and they beat them 46-13, and North Crowley just beat them a couple of rounds ago, 63-17. So a little bit bigger win for North Crowley. I'm gonna take North Crowley. I think the defending champ. I mean, I think Allen's playing good football, but to be the man, you got to beat the man. I'm going to go with the man in this one, so I'm taking North Crowley.
To be fair, Allen has been the man for a lot longer than North Crowley.
Well, for right now, though, they are the defending champion.
True. You're right.
Game 10, another one, a good one. Denton Ryan and Aledo. Jaron, we're going to start with you this time. Who you got in this one?
So this is a rematch. They played earlier in the year, and Aledo won by 1 point.
Ooh.
It's really hard to beat a good team twice, and Denton Ryan's obviously a good team. I don't know. I got to go with the Bearcats on this one. I'm going with Aledo.
Okay. Jeremy?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, you've got 2 teams from the same district. Denton Ryan's only loss is to Aledo by 1, right? I mean, this is a heavyweight battle, right? And again, 2 teams coming from the same district, one undefeated, one with 1 loss, and again to each other, 15-14. I am going to take the Aledo Bearcats as well.
KO.
So Aledo has 11 state titles, right? Which is the most in the state. Yeah. Give me Aledo.
Yeah, I'm taking Aledo too. I think, I think they're built different. Like when it comes this time of year, they're used to making runs. I think even if they get behind early, they won't panic. It's kind of like the Carthage situation. They'll make those adjustments and get the win and get that.
They actually have 12 state titles. 12. We don't want to shortchange them.
Don't want to short them. No, absolutely.
Well,
not.
And I think too.
Because
I think they're a
Carthage
team
is
that
11 this year. So
yeah, I think they're a team that's comfortable grinding it out too, right? Like they're not I mean, you win a game 15-14. That says a lot about your team. Like you can. It's one thing to win tight games. It's one thing to win a tight, low-scoring game where one play can really flip so much. And so I think that says a lot about Aledo as well. But again, if Denton Ryan won, it wouldn't shock me, right? If North Crowley beats Allen, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I think that's that time of year, right? Like I don't think we're surprised if certain teams win, but I think it's going to be a fun week.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun this week, guys. That's all the pick'ems for this week. Any final thoughts as we wrap up? We'll start with you, Jaron. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Ko.
Well, I just wanted to mention that there's an East Texas team in 6-man still playing. The Gilmer Union Hill squad. They're in the state semifinals because 1A 6-man's a week ahead. So they're in the state semis. Okay. So shout out to Union Hill, and they're facing Gordon which has like a 40 something game win streak. So odds are stacked against Union Hill, but shout out to the East Texas squad.
Gordon's good at everything. They're good at basketball too. They just beat they were in the news for beating a big 6A school recently. All right, Jaron, any final thoughts as we go here and get ready for these regional final matchups?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a good week, another great week of football. I'm excited to see how the remaining East Texas teams do. Hopefully a strong show. We'll have a good showing over in AT&T in a few weeks. But, yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. Another exciting week of football, and it's going to be good. So,
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped about Friday getting to watch the Kagan Ash experience again. I don't think I could ever get tired of watching that guy play football. I hate that he's going to Texas Tech because I'm not a fan, but happy for him. But no, man, he's an incredible athlete. It's going to be fun to see how he matches up against Bremond. And again, there's just so many great games around the state. I mean, there's games that we didn't even talk about that you got Highland Park still in it, right? Like you just have so many marquee state of Texas names that are still in the playoffs. And I think that's what's incredible about it is that this time of year, you really get to see those teams rise to the top. And, you know, I'm excited about what the next few weeks look like and who gets to hold that gold ball at the end, right? Who gets to raise the last championship trophy. And it's that time, just, you know, it's win or go home.
Cam?
The teams to remember play in December. The air's getting colder. It's December now. This is when the best football is happening. So I'm excited. I think we're in for another exciting week of Texas high school football. It's the best time of the year. And, yeah, I'm hoping – obviously all of our East Texas teams can't win because a couple of them are playing each other. But I hope all of our East Texas teams win and perform well this week so we can be talking about them next week.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's episode of bEast from the East. Good luck to you all out there in your teams and pick'ems this week. Make sure you get them in on time so we don't hear anybody saying, oh, I didn't get my picks in on time. We don't need those excuses. But that's going to do it for tonight's episode. For Jeremy Diamond, Darren Peoples, Mr. Red Zone of TKO Collins, I'm Mr. NETSN Brett Swinney signing off for the evening. Good night and have a great week. We'll see you next time right here on bEast from the East.
The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.